Good afternoon, and welcome to this fall concert of patriotic music. My name is Jerome Ogburn, and it's my pleasure to introduce the Camden Community Concert Band under the direction of Mr. Glenn Price. The band is made up of mostly all volunteer and mostly amateur musicians from Kershaw County and the surrounding communities, who share a love of instrumental music and a desire to fellowship with other musicians and serve our community. If that description sounds like you, then we invite you to dust off that old horn, see how many of those old scales you remember, and join us. Now, before we move on, I do have a program note. A group of folks came up to me just before and noted that the tubas were not listed in the program. Now, I played sousaphone in the band at Carolina many years ago, and I know how those guys think. And I was ready to accuse them of leaving it out intentionally so their names would be read specifically. But they seem to have a lot more character than that bunch I played with, so I'm taking them at their word. But our tuba players are Randy Harold, John Waits, and Dick Rasmussen. And we're glad that they're there because they sound pretty good. We began the program this afternoon with an American fanfare by Rick Kirby. You may have recognized the familiar strains of My Country 'Tis of Thee, more commonly known as America. Mr. Kirby has taken this normally hymn-like and stately melody and incorporated it into the fast, hard-driving fanfare the band just performed. An interesting side note is that when Samuel Francis, who wrote America, when he wrote it, he did not know that the tune was the same as the British national anthem, God Save the King. The melody Mr. Smith used was found in a songbook of German school songs that had been adapted from Muzio Clementi's Symphony No. 3. Contrary to some reports, Mr. Smith was not intentionally co-opting the British anthem to make a statement about American democracy. Our next piece is By Dawn's Early Light, composed by Charles J. Torian Jr. This is a soundscape with narration that recounts the events that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the poem that eventually became our national anthem. We hope you find it both enjoyable and informative. Following By Dawn's Early Light, we will play the Star-Spangled Banner, and we invite you to stand and sing along as we honor our nation and remember how those who came before us had to struggle to win and then maintain our freedom. By Dawn's Early Light, by Charles J. Torian, Jr. The War of 1812 was nearing an end, and by all accounts had become a stalemate. Late in August of 1814, however, the British made a successful attack on Washington City, burning several government buildings, including the Capitol and Presidential Mansion. Spurred on by success, they set sights on Baltimore, then the third largest city in the country. Torrential rain drenched Baltimore Harbor in the late afternoon of September 13th. But water wasn't the only thing falling from the sky. The British had been firing bombs and rockets at Fort McHenry since shortly after dawn at a rate of more than 1 per minute in a lopsided contest. For the more powerful ship's guns allowed the fleet to remain beyond artillery fire from the fort. Francis Scott Key witnessed the bombardment while confined aboard the cartel ship Minden with other American detainees. Cannon fire roared through the dark night, finally ceasing at dawn the following morning. Peering through a telescope, Key saw, ever so dimly through the smoke and mist, that the flag flying over the fort was not British, but American. In an overwhelming outpouring of emotional fervor, Key began to pen these words. On the shore, dimly seen, through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes, what is that which the breeze or the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected, now shines in the stream. 'Tis the star-spangled banner, oh long may it wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Or the Land of the Free by Johnny Vinson was commissioned by and dedicated to the International Bandmasters Fraternity, Phi Beta Mu. and honors three significant anniversaries that occurred in 2014. That year marked the 200th anniversary of the writing of the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1814, the 100th anniversary of the beginning of World War I in 1914, and the 70th anniversary of Operation Overlord, the 1944 invasion of Nazi-occupied France, which began with the landing of Allied troops in Normandy on D-Day. With those key events in mind, Mr. Vinson has used his original theme to weave together America the Beautiful and the Star-Spangled Banner to remind us that freedom is not free. For the Land of the Free by Johnny Vinson. Like our forefathers, the people of Ukraine are currently fighting to keep their independence against a foe that is much larger and much more powerful than themselves. We honor the people of Ukraine as they defend their liberty with this performance of the Ukrainian Army March by Kachuk. The Message on the Rock by Robert Sheldon was commissioned in 2004. It is a musical representation of a rather unusual artwork that can be found in a field west of Des Moines, Iowa. Artist Ray Sorensen of Greenfield, Iowa, discovered the rock that had for some time been painted with graffiti. In 1999, he decided that the rock should be properly painted once and for all, and did so with truly remarkable skill. He emblazoned the sides of the rock with battle scenes from our nation's history, including Washington's crossing of the Delaware and a scene from 9/11. Fragments of speeches from American presidents were included, and an American flag draped the 60-ton boulder, which became known as Freedom Rock. In 2013, Mr. Sorensen began the Freedom Rock Tour by painting a Freedom Rock in each of Iowa's 99 counties to honor America's veterans. Mr. Sheldon's composition includes 3 quotes found on the original Freedom Rock. These quotes are from Thomas Jefferson, John F. Kennedy, and George W. Bush. The Message on the Rock by Robert Sheldon. In our own strength without boasting of it. We respect that of others without fearing it. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and success of freedom. We will not waver, we will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail. Peace and freedom will prevail. All gave some gave all. James Curno's Rhapsody on American Shape Note Melodies is a commissioned piece with very close links to this community and this band. But before I tell you about that, let me share a little bit about the composition. The American phenomenon called shape note notation emerged in the United States in the early 1800s. Singers learned to read music by identifying the shape of each note. Out of this tradition grew several singing schools where people met by the thousands to sing and socialize. Several published collections of shape note melodies emerged to meet these schools' needs for printed music. In the heyday of this school of singing, Columbia, South Carolina became one of the centers of publication and teaching for shape note music. When this piece was commissioned by the band directors of Kershaw County and dedicated to the memory of William Harold Bill Baisden, band director of Camden High School from 1958 to 1976, it was suggested that a collection of shape note melodies would be a fitting tribute to this fine musician. From this suggestion grew the piece, Rhapsody on American Shape Note Melodies. The commissioning statement reads in part, "It is our hope that many generations of students to come will enjoy this music, inspired by this master teacher, dedicated colleague, congenial friend, and devoted husband and father." It's fitting that to direct this piece will be the man who followed him at Camden High School, Robert Wirtz. Rhapsody on American Shape Note Melodies, James Curnow, directed by Robert Wirtz. John Philip Sousa's 365-page autobiography is a casual account of his fascinating life and is somewhat frustrating to the reader who is eager to get down to the facts of writing marches. Sousa doesn't get to the point until page 356. He offers some specifics about his process, but he prefaces the information with this observation. Marches, of course, are well known to be a peculiar appeal to me. Although during my busy life I have written 10 operas and 100 other things, cantatas, symphonic poems, suites, waltzes, songs, dances, and the like, marches are, in a sense, my musical children. Our next piece is the George Washington Bicentennial March by John Philip Sousa. next selection is also a commission piece with South Carolina ties. Prelude on an American Spiritual was commissioned by the South Carolina chapter of Phi Beta Mu Band Fraternity in honor of Lorraine Paris, who was the band director of Newberry High School for 47 years. During her many years of service, she was a member of numerous musical organizations, including serving as the first president of the South Carolina Band Directors Association. Now, I'm not sure Glenn wanted me to tell this, but he also served as the president of the Band Directors Association and had occasion to spend some time with Ms. Paris from time to time. And she always rubbed in the fact that she had been at Newberry High School for 47 years. I firmly believe that the only reason he worked as long as he did without retiring is he wanted to get to 48 ahead of her. But Ms. Paris was definitely a mentor to so many people in instrumental music in the state of South Carolina. The Carl Stroman composition is based on the spiritual My Lord, What a Morning, in honor of Ms. Paris' dedicated service to music education and inspired by her love of the hymn song. Prelude on an American Spiritual by Carl Stroman. is a medley of American favorites arranged by John Higgins. Yankee Doodle, Yankee Doodle Boy, You're a Grand Old Flag, This Land is Your Land, and God Bless the USA are all songs that we as Americans sing with pride and patriotism. It's interesting that the list includes Yankee Doodle, a song that was originally sung by British military officers to mock the disheveled, disorganized colonial Yankees with whom they served during the French and Indian Wars. But by the time of the Revolution, it had become a song of defiance, popular among the very men it was intended to ridicule. This Land is Your Land was a protest song written by Woody Guthrie in 1940 as a critical response to God Bless America. The original title was actually God Bless America for Me. Two of the original verses point out the economic inequities that can still be found across our nation. Even so, the song still contains a ring of hope in the line, "This land was made for you and me." We Americans are a diverse people. We're descended from Native Americans, from the Pilgrims and English colonists, from those brought here against their will and forced into slavery. We come from immigrants searching for a better life, better opportunities, fleeing from persecution, looking for a safe haven. But no matter what our heritage, race, religious beliefs, or political affiliations, we all yearn to breathe free. And although we often find ourselves in bitter debate, we somehow find our way to common ground. And we acknowledge that even in our diversity, we are all proud to be Americans. Our America, arranged by John Higgins. American march music was the top 40 in the 1950s all the way through the 1920s, until jazz began to have widespread appeal. America boasts many great march composers, but none are more well known than John Philip Sousa, the March King. His most popular march by far was adopted as our nation's official national march in 1987, The Stars and Stripes Forever by John Philip Sousa. having so much fun, we're going to play one more. There have been many march composers with varying abilities over the years. The most famous, of course, is John Philip Sousa. The Stars and Stripes Forever with its distinctive piccolo solo, and his Liberty Bell with its use of chimes are two of his most well-known. One of the more talented composers to follow in Sousa's footsteps was Edwin Franco Goldman. He was a trumpet player, band director, and organizer, and wrote over 150 works. In 1922, he wrote The Chimes of Liberty. With its piccolo obbligato and the featured chimes, it almost seems that Goldman was trying to one-up the March King with this composition. Whether his intent was to dethrone the king or not, The Chimes of Liberty remains one of his most beloved compositions and stands out as one of the best patriotic marches ever written. The Chimes of Liberty by Edwin Franco Goldman. very much for coming out this afternoon. If you did not grab a program, I think there's still a few up here. And once you look in it, you'll notice there's an envelope in there. We encourage you to fill that with money and send that in. It also contains the upcoming concert dates for this season for the Camden Community Concert Band as well as the Sumter Community Concert Band. Stick around, enjoy the afternoon, and if you head home, drive safely, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.